going, Nick? Thanks for doing this. What all went into your decision to come back? Was it something that you agonized over? Or did you know pretty well that you always wanted to come back for this?
I don't think I had the year that I wish I would have had last year. Um, coming off of, I started practicing like 7 months out of rehab when usually it's a 9 month to 12-month thing, but I felt I was 100%, and so did Clint and them. I was wearing a brace all last year. I was kind of limpy, wasn't fully myself. Didn't play much special teams because they needed me more on offense, and like I said, I wasn't fully there to do all special teams as well. So, first of all, it was Coach Beamer came in with a positive attitude, talked to me a couple times before I made my decision, and so did Coach Kimry. And they were good guys. They talked about how they're going to use me, ways they can use me. They never promised me anything, but they said if you do the right things, you'll have a chance to be that guy. So instead of leaving with a late fifth to seventh round draft pick, I thought, heck, I could value myself a little bit more, as in specialist guy, plus being a good offensive guy. Maybe they'll see me more valuable in the league next year, and I'll be a year and a half out of rehab instead of 6 months. So that was basically my decision made on that one.
Mike Yuba.
Hey, Nick, we know that going back to last season, you were very vocal in your support of Bobby Bentley. With that being said, how much did you talk to him, if at all, about this decision to come back? And, how excited are you to be able to work with a guy like Kimry, and how has that relationship been so far for you?
There's a lot of the same things I see in both Coach Kimry and Coach Bentley. Coach Bentley is a heck of a guy that you can see as a father figure. I was pretty close with Jake while he was here too. I've talked to him a couple times. I know he has a lot of offers on the table where he could go or what he's planning on doing. I don't have social media, so I don't know if he's made any decisions on that. But I've talked to him 2 or 3 times since he's departed from here. But they're both great men. They both know how to teach, both in a father figure in life and on the football field. They both have great knowledge, as in the playbook and all this, that, and the other. But it's hard for one guy to leave, but Coach Kimry came in with a positive mindset, talking about how good our group's going to be and how good I could be. And, he's just been an influencer of, ways to work hard. And, he's just been a guy that I can lean on if I ever need help. So he's came in with the right mindset, and it's helped me a lot.
Chandler Mack.
Hey Nick, hope you're doing well today, man. You obviously have a pretty great relationship with Luke. Talk to me about like the growth that you've seen from him so far in camp, and also from what you've seen, the growth that you've seen from the other quarterbacks.
Yeah, me and Luke have a special bond, great friendship. A guy I can call my brother for the rest of my life. He's been a guy that if anybody ever works harder than me in this building, besides you, obviously the staff, but as a player, if I can put $5 on anybody who's going to work harder than me or as hard as me, it's going to be Luke Doty. He just comes in with the right mindset. He didn't play like a freshman last year, as y'all could see. He made big plays, and he's just a guy that's ahead of the game. But that's how he is. You got Colton coming in. He's starting to understand the playbook really well. I think Eric was talking about something in the team meeting today, but he's starting to understand like his role and ways he can get better. You got Connor Jordan, who is stepping up and starting to show what he's capable of, and how he can help this team. Then you got Jason Brown, who just got here and he had an illness, but when he was out here for the first day of his practice, he looked pretty smooth for the most part. So it's a competition between all of them. Obviously, we're 6 months away from the season starting, but they all look pretty good. There's obviously things everybody can work on, but for the most part, they all look like they, have a chance of doing something this year.
Colin Taylor.
Hey Nick, how you doing?
Doing good.
I'm curious. You mentioned the fact that Coach Beamer sold you on the role you could play in this offense. What were those conversations like? And through 3 practices, how do you hope to be used, or how do you see yourself being used this season? I know it's pretty far away though from the start of it.
He just talked about, ways I could get better. He watched some of my film, talked about, ways I can critique myself and how much more value I could be as both a person at this university and how I can help us win, and then later on in life maybe it could make me more valuable in the NFL draft. Hopefully, if that happens one day. But he's just talking about a person I am, how I can be a great leader here, and then what was your second question? Sorry, I didn't hear it.
Just through 3 practices, I know the season's still far away, but how do you hopefully see yourself being used now that you've kind of gotten into what the scheme might look like?
Kind of like last year, maybe a couple more opportunities. Big in the inside run game. Can help fit for, on a linebacker, on a DN, however they need me to do it. And then I can also play slot or outside if need be. They've worked me a lot at slot and not much at the outside, but, hopefully I can earn their trust one day to where I can, run some fades, this, that, and other, get some back shoulder balls. So we'll see. But Coach Satt really enjoys me. I usually meet with him on average at least an hour or two a day, just coming up here talking to him. So he actually put a play in for me on our second day of practice just because, he respects what I'm doing and respects how I'm grinding and helping this team and trying to be a leader. So he rewards people who, care as much as I do and come up here and talk to them. And it's just, it's a family type thing. It's a relationship type thing. It's not just football. It's about life too. Sit up here and watch some of NCAA March Madness. So, hopefully he'll use me the way I feel like I can be used, and we can make some great things happen this year.
Dick Cox.
Can you talk about your off-season working with Coach Day? And also, you look like a guy who would thrive in the nighttime competitions. Can you talk a little bit about that too?
This is more of a confidence thing instead of a cockiness thing, but I did come in first place in the nighttime competitions overall, so I appreciate you calling that out because I love when people respect the competitive toughness we have here, so I appreciate that. But no, Coach Day and Kristen they're the real deal. Them two and Clint are helping everybody, both weight room, nutrition, rehab, you name it. They're all three great people. Somebody I can always be around is any of them three. But I think I've lost 2.5% body fat in 2 months, and I haven't lost a pound. So Kristen's doing right in the nutrition ways, and Coach Day's working our butts off, and if you do the workouts and you actually enjoy them, and it's something I enjoy. I love lifting. It's just something that it gets my mind off other things, so it's good for me. But the way they've been working us, man, is great things should be coming. So
Hilmer Granahan.
And Nick, I was just kind of curious what you've seen from EJ Jenkins so far, other than him just being 6'7" and like crazy big. What's he like out there on the field?
He is in fact 6'7" and crazy big, but he can do it all. He's a guy who he's got to be more physical at whether it's the block point or going to go get the ball. But I mean, once he learns that, I mean those are just the little things. It's if you're going to critique him, it's got to be the little things, because the big things he's already got. He's already got the size, the speed, whatever you need he can do, whether it's line as an inline tight end or be an outside guy. I mean, he runs almost 21 miles an hour, so he's moving all the time. But, he's just one of those guys to where, like, whatever you need. If you need a 3rd and 10 back shoulder fade, you can give it to him. If you need him to block, he'll do it. If you need him to run a bubble, he's going to do it. So he's one of those he kind of reminds me of me, but just, a little bit faster, a little bit more athletic. So, hopefully he gets used the same way, hopefully I do, that, we'll be a 1-2 dynamic punch this year.
John DelBianco.
Hey, Nick, what are your major takeaways of Coach Beamer? I know you've mentioned him a couple of times in, your private discussions, but, from a team standpoint, what do you think he's brought to the program over 3 months?
He's big in the little details. If you ain't looking at him during the team meetings, he's going to call you out. He's one of those guys that's, he's going to show you respect, and he's going to want respect back. So he's just one of those guys that he takes everything in a positive attitude, and he does everything the right way. Whether it's the little things of, hey, I'm not going to walk past trash without picking it up. That's what should be happening, but that is a guy who he is. He's one of those guys where it doesn't matter how big or how little, doesn't matter if you're a walk-on at the back of the depth chart or you're a starting, he's going to treat you the same way, he's going to treat you the same way, he's going to treat you the same way.
Thank you.
Last question goes to Will Kronsberg.
Nick, you mentioned kind of usage a little bit inline in the slot. Throughout the years with the different schemes, we've seen some different tight end usage and numbers. How do you anticipate the skill players, especially the tight ends, being distributed? Like, will we see a lot of multiple tight ends? Will we see more receivers? without giving away too much of the scheme, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Hopefully we'll see two tight ends 90% of the time. In my opinion, I feel like we should. Sometimes Coach Satterfield will, he'll throw in a little no tight end play or two, and I'll go to the sideline and talk crap about, why we're not in this, that, and the other. But, hopefully there'll be two tight ends about 90% of the time. We have some great athletes in the tight end room. I think it's our strongest room, in my opinion, and that's an unbiased opinion. So, hopefully we're used as the way we should be used, and we have a lot of people who can make plays in that room. So.